Ladies and gentlemen, this Red Gaming Telecom video, let us discuss Hulu Plus and other streaming services. So it's just been announced that they are trying to crack down on VPNs, basically blocking international users. And there's already fears that Netflix, for customers outside of the US, are going to pretty much take the same stance. They're going to try and block this. And how they're basically doing this is they're basically blacklisting a large swathe of IP ranges, and the idea is that if your VPN happens to be within this blacklist, you're going to get an error, and it's going to say, based upon your IP address, we notice you're trying to access this site through an anonymous proxy. Hulu is currently not available outside the US, and if you're in the US, you need to disable your anonymizer to access videos. And then basically, if you feel that you received this message in error, please submit this form. Pretty much that's it. And indeed, a couple of entertainment sources in Australia and other countries have actually gone as far as to say that this is, and I quote, VPN piracy. In other words, they don't like the fact that a user in Australia, a user in the UK, France, Germany, whatever your country, as long as you're outside the US, could be Canada, it's irrelevant. If you're trying to access and watch shows on Hulu or Netflix or whatever other show, whatever other service, they really don't like it. And users are, well, let's just say, be honest here, people, pissed, angry, not happy campers. Because in some cases, they've already prepaid. So they've set up like a prepaid credit card or whatever. They've got their services, and there was no warning that this was coming into effect. To be fair, it was kind of implied that, they didn't want this, but there was no message that was popping up, hey guys, within the next couple of months we're going to stop blocking VPNs, so you just might want to be aware of that. That didn't happen. And here's the other thing. I've seen some people actually really angry, really livid with Hulu, and they've basically stated that, they feel that they are being punished, or they feel that they're being targeted out of almost spite. And I don't necessarily agree with that POV. That's going a little bit extreme. Now, you've got to remember that the phrase VPN piracy is a little bit ridiculous. Technically, we are paying to watch this stuff. So if you're watching a show, whatever it is, on Hulu, you've paid your monthly fee. So it's the same as any other show. But here's the thing. It's not necessarily most likely that Hulu have a problem. It's most likely that their parent companies and the cable companies that are basically sponsoring them have received a lot of pressure from, well, the broadcasters in your region, because they've got the licenses to show, well, those shows. And all of this comes down to archaic licensing and content management in the digital age distribution. It really is. It's just bad. There's no other way to put it. And I could also hark on, by the way, on games, where you've got staggered release dates in different regions as well. In situations where there's just, in a lot of cases, particularly on the PC, absolutely no reason for it. And people wonder why there's bloody piracy. Game of Thrones and other shows are heavily pirated. I don't know what the statistics are, and I don't think anyone truly does, in terms of legitimate users versus users who are pirating and users who are streaming legally. And by legitimate users in the first instance, I mean those who are actually watching the damn thing live on television. For example, I watch Game of Thrones via a service in the UK known as Now TV, which is actually created and run by Sky. I don't remember the exact cost. I think it's about £5 or so, and I get an entertainment package, and I can stream various shows with that, including Game of Thrones. Now, I could go ahead and I could cough up to have Sky installed, whatever monthly fees and whatever costs initially that would have to set up. But I don't watch enough TV for that, for A, and for B, I just plain don't want to do it. I prefer to watch my content digitally. It's just easier. I've got I've got everything hooked up to my big screen TV. I can do whatever I want. It's just simple. And like it or lump it, cable companies just kind of have to start accepting that they are basically being pushed out into the cold. Now, there are some reports stating some VPNs and some methods are still working. So, Unblock US, for example, is still working as of now, but how long this is going to last, and I have a feeling what's going to happen is you're going to have services that are basically going to pop up, and they're going to try their best, their darndest, to constantly get IP ranges which are not blocked. So, for example, they might set up a website, and that website's sole purpose is to give you guys Hulu Plus content. Oh dear. It's woeful. Now, in some cases, TV shows are not as far behind as the US. I remember back, certainly in the late 90s and so on, when if you had the internet and you happened to go on the internet when the UK season 1, just for example, was starting, the US season 2 was most likely starting. So in other words, typically it was almost a season behind, sometimes more, and that absolutely blew. This was even worse if you were using terrestrial television. It's not as bad now with cable. For example, Game of Thrones, it's only like 1 or 2 days behind, which isn't too shabby at all. But pretty much what I was saying to you guys the other day regarding game streaming, this is actually one of the reasons that I'm kind of against it. I mentioned there that I've got free streaming services, and I wasn't kidding. In the UK alone, I've got, well, here's the services I've got. I've got Netflix, and the UK Netflix is semi-useless. It does have some movies that the US one doesn't. In fact, some of the movies are better, I'll be honest. I've got Amazon, what used to be Love Film, now it's Amazon. They've got some good stuff as well. I watch stuff like Vikings on there and Criminal Minds and other bits and pieces, although they are a season behind. And finally, I've got Now TV. And as I said, I watch things such as Game of Thrones on there. So I've got basically 3 services, and I'm still missing shows, some of the latest shows such as Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, quite frankly, is absolutely ridiculous. And by missing, I don't mean, well, you know what, you can watch something like 1 to 2 seasons behind. I'm talking current. You know, I don't mind waiting a couple of days. Like, a couple of days is semi-acceptable. But when someone basically says, hey bro, you're going to have to wait like 6 months, and also you're going to have to cough up as much as the other, the other country where this originated from, people start getting pissed and they will download it illegally. There's just no ifs, buts or maybes. They will just use those VPNs, they will set up anonymous proxies or whatever they need to do, and they will torrent it. And I'm not condoning it, because I can't condone piracy, because I don't like piracy. But at the same time, people just want content here now, and they don't want to wait. So here's the thing, you're basically giving the person the choice of, I want to give you money and I want to watch this now, and you're basically saying, hey, we're going to make it more difficult for you, and the person was still coughing up in the case of Hulu Plus, and now you're making it pretty much impossible. At least that's how it looks like it's going to be. And now, I'm going to point out, I don't actually have a Hulu Plus account, so this doesn't affect me. It was something that I was going to keep setting up. You know how it is. You're like, oh, I'll set it up. Yeah, I'll set it up at some point. And you just keep going through the motions, and you just haven't bothered, frankly. That's pretty much what happened to me. I was like, you know what, I've got so many streaming services, so many shows, blah, blah, blah. And so I just never bothered. But a lot of people have, and a lot of people are pissed. And as I said, I don't necessarily blame Hulu Plus. I don't necessarily blame them, because they are obviously, and their parent companies, getting huge amounts of pressure from companies like Sky and whatever the alternative is in your region, or or the world. But this isn't sustainable, right? Someone actually pointed out on one forum that, hey, you know what, if you want to make these companies hurt, if you want to make them suffer, then, and you want to change their mind real quick, piracy is going to do that. But as I was saying earlier, regarding the whole game streaming thing, and I kind of got away from that, this is why I don't necessarily like the idea of cloud gaming, cloud streaming, because who's to say that what's going to happen? You might have to have multiple different services for different games, and some games might be blocked off in some regions, and there's all these politics. In a digital age, we've got internet connections which are ridiculously fast. My internet connection, in the UK is going to be pushed up to 150 MB. I don't actually remember the date, but it's not going to be too long. Currently, I'm on 120. And one of the primary reasons behind this isn't just to, be able to surf Facebook faster. I mean, admittedly, it's helpful to me, who's uploading large-ass videos like 3 gigabytes, but... Oh, and it's actually fixed now. They've actually come and fixed my connection rather than it keep dropping out. You might have remembered me raging about that on Dark Souls video. Dark Souls 2 video I did the other day, just to clarify. But, you know what? It really is there for the consumption of media. 1080p files, eventually 4K, assuming the televisions ever come cheap enough where the average person can afford them. And TVs right now are not that profitable. You don't believe me? Well, check out LG, Sony, Samsung. They're not making that much money from them. And TV technology it's really kind of like very difficult. It's a very difficult market to compete in. So you've got the 4K, which eventually I'm sure will become more of a standard. Obviously, you've got 1440p monitors as well. And of course, you've got 1080p. Which is pretty much the standard now. I mean, even YouTube does it, despite the fact it does have quite a bit of compression. But the whole purpose of these fast connections is to consume a lot more media. It's so that you and your uncle and your Aunt May can all watch different content in different rooms at the same time and not have any problems. And they've got the backbone, they've got the connection to do it, at least in a lot of the areas. Some people are still on crappy connections, some people are still on really fast connections, but that's just kind of how it is. And now with the bandwidth caps, of course, that the United States is trying to put on its internet connections, that's not really good either. Now, I could easily go into an absolutely huge rant with this, but I'm going to try and curb it. I know that's unusual for me, but it just pisses me off, these whole licensing issues, and it just shows me that it really needs to be fixed. This is not an issue where you can just simply block the content and that's it. It's fine. The problem's over for the cable companies. No, it just means that Hulu and the companies in the US are going to lose money. It means that people who want to watch it, basically, here's my thoughts on the subject, right? If you are technically adept enough to either set up a VPN to watch Hulu Plus or whatever, and to set up all the credit cards, you know how to do it. I'm not going to bother to go into the whole thing, so it'll take me a while. But if you've got the knowledge to watch Hulu Plus in the UK or wherever you are, you've got the knowledge to do exactly the same thing, but download it illegally. And so basically, all this system is going to do, I think most people who are doing this, they're just going to pretty much download the content illegally, and that's all there is going to be to it. And the cable companies in the UK still really aren't going to profit. And I understand it's not technically most likely Hulu's fault. They most likely would love to take the cash from you, but they just simply don't have the license to do it. And that's why I'm not necessarily pissed at Hulu, despite the fact that a lot of people are pissed at Hulu. I'm more just pissed at this attitude that's going around, and I'm more frustrated with the fact that a lot of these corporate companies just don't corporations, corporate companies, that was a bit of a stupid statement. That's like me saying to you money cash, but a lot of these companies just don't understand that the internet will not be stopped like this, and people will consume the content regardless whether it's legal or illegal. Give people the option, and exactly what Valve have said. It's not the price often that's the problem. In fact, I've seen users regarding Hulu. I don't remember what the cost is with Hulu, to be honest. I honestly can't remember now. I feel really bad for that. I think it's like $16 or something like that a month. for certain services, and it's like, people would actually be happy to pay double that in some cases I've seen, or at least 20, 30, 40%. Call it international tax if you want, call it a screw you're in another country tax. They don't care. They just want to access the content. They want to access it when they want. They want to access it legally. They don't want any licensing hassles. They just want to, get on the couch, press a button, watch the show. That's all there is to it. Ah, well, sorry guys. I feel very passionately about this, and I'm a little bit pissed with the whole situation. As I said, I don't necessarily blame Hulu. At least from what I understand, it's not their fault. They are basically tied over barrels concerning contracts regarding other countries and so on. It's just a frustrating situation all around, in my personal opinion. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Do let me know what you think of this one. I'll see you soon. Take care, and bye for now.